The center of the expansion is the hub zone. It exists inside a giant hollow sphere. At the heart of that sphere is a large, massive ball of magma. It's effectively the heart of the entire underfoot. It pushes lava around as if it was life's blood. And in the underfoot, it basically is. It's not, again, it's plane of power. Don't think of it as being in the center of Norath. That's a falsity. Sorry, a little bit stuffed up. The underfoot is a massive machine, effectively. It's the life's blood of much of Norath. The dwarves, the gnomes, they go here after they die to keep the machine running. And for example, in the cooling chamber, the lava heats the water in Brell's Rest, flows down and cools as it goes down. And the gnomes and the dwarves are responsible, as well as the cold for cooling off. Also, the Underfoot is the source for all gems, stones, and metals that are found in Norath. They're mined by the servants of Brell and pushed out into Norath by their efforts. And in the Underfoot, of course, as with all expansions, not all is going well. Brell, first of all, has created many, many beings that you may not have run into yet. There's always been a fight between him and the other gods about his willingness to create sentient races. And he has been in several bargains with those gods about whether or not he should be allowed to let them into the world. So some of his creatures have not been seen by the Norathians yet. These are some examples of them. There's a certain theory that it's turtles all the way down. In this case, it's not. The mountains of Norath, for example, are held up by the Jannari, who are a race of giants who go through their maturity cycle, and when they become old enough, it becomes their task to hold up the world's mountains. Not an enviable job, perhaps, but that's what they're built for. At the opening of the expansion, when things begin, is of course at the time when there's a problem. Something is going wrong, and it will be your task to figure out what it is. We're done. So we're going to now show you a few zones. So first we're going to show you Brell's Rest. I did want to point out that some of the art here is, I consider exceptional. Our artists have taken a lot of care and effort to make something that's pretty impressive. This is basically, for lack of a better example, Brell's Rest is sort of purgatory for those of Brell's creations that haven't quite managed to meet his standards. For example, Knowles are his beings. However, he's not exactly God. Destruction is not one of his favorite things. He's a creator. So this is the place where most ones go and they pass on. This is their afterlife. They are, as you'll know, fighting quite frequently with the kobolds who are also here. They mostly aspire to attain the Shining City, which is where those that are favored by Brell. The lava pools you see here heat the water. And as the water funnels into a place called the cooling chamber, which obviously has a task, which is to cool things, to cool the water. It's not exactly it's a magical and mechanical process at the same time. I'll show you. The main servitors, the main workers in the cooling chamber of Cold Haven were quite familiar with coal. So it's their task to cool the water as it passes through the cooling chamber. So the water is magically and, like I said, mechanically cool as it goes down. At the bottom of the cooling chamber, it cools off and effectively becomes a glacier. There's a little backstory that I think we're not going to reveal right now. The beast. Yeah, Burrell's realm is not always entirely peaceful. And in some past experience, there was a creature, they're just calling the beast at this point, that attempted to destroy the realm. And Burrell captured it and froze it in a glacier down at the bottom of the cooling chamber. At some point, you guys will encounter that guy. Oh yeah. Actually, you know what?
One of the things that's happening as you dive deeper into the cooling chamber, that we're trying to communicate the change in temperature via the color palette changing. So there's reds, and then it's gradually changing until you get down to the bottom, and it's going to be blues to try to drive home the fact that the water itself is getting cooler as you go down. It's got two paths to get down to the core. I'm only taking one of them, so I'm going to show it's right now. But it's a zone that we hope will be good for group content, basically. And there'll be some raids that will have to do with the beast and some cool missions that take place in here with some of these NPCs.
We will be getting, as you saw the concept art of the original slideshow, we will be creating new cold air models. This should be cool. As you notice, this is also a very, very large zone.
Yeah.
There it is, the end. Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We're not going to go like every zone, every nook and cranny. You guys have to see some of that just saw. The culmination of the first portion of this ends up, okay, let me back up. There's a place called Arthroprax, which used to be a farmland. It used to be lush, green, and it was tended by the crazy alpha particles. What the heck is
Your first one. Clean and test.
So just don't look at this while I talk. This used to be a lush green farmland, and through something that you'll explore as you explore the expansion, it has become a desert wasteland, effectively due to the defection of the people who were, creatures who were given control of this place. We're calling them the Clicknar. They were on that last slide, and we can probably go back through the slides later if you want to see them. They're basically insect creatures, 4 arms, 2 legs, wings. They should be incredibly nasty. Their disloyalty has caused them to fall basically out of the system. They're no longer functional servitors of Brel, and this place has suffered for it. They've taken to capturing other creatures, for example, the Sporali, and they're effectively using them for food, considering that the farmland is no longer farming, which has caused all kinds of issues with in the Underfoot, for a lack of food. We don't have the new models, obviously. We only have concepts and some of the old models. You'll see plenty of placeholders. You guys are all familiar with how this one goes, I imagine. Plenty of doves, as we call them. It's not new. We had an interesting time with art trying to, obviously this is an underground zone, expansion. We're trying to give you the feeling that you're underground without making it feel oppressive. Because, being in a dark hole all the time is not exactly fun. So we tried to make the caverns are vast, the spaces are wide open, but you still get the dark browns and the colorations and the feeling of being underground. Yeah, we're going to keep walking around the zones. If you guys have questions, comments, comments, complaints, whatever, let's do the usual form up line at the microphone and ask us whatever you want about the expansion, obviously.